All right, welcome back to the Football Today show for an A-League Women Grand Final preview show, which we're very excited about, and also some Football Today season awards. I'm your host, Liam McAllion, also known as the Stats Guy. I'm always here with Marcus. We're always sick of it. How you going, Marcus?
We love each other too much. The Stats Guy.
You got the Chelsea top on, you're absolutely
I'm
fine.
very excited. Chelsea play tomorrow morning, so you got to represent the boys.
Nice. And we've got a special guest. I haven't been on the podcast in a while, but she's been on before. Code Sports journalist and football expert, Erin Smith. How you going, Erin? And thanks for joining us as always.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So obviously the A-League Women's Grand Final is this week. Melbourne City and Sydney FC, two of the best teams. Sydney FC are into their 7th straight Grand Final. Are they one of the best teams, Erin, just in Australian sport history, really? Making 7 straight Grand Finals?
Yeah, I mean, even more impressive, they've done it with the same coach. It's unheard of.
Yeah, it's unbelievable at the moment. Before we get into a Grand Final preview, we're going to have a look at just a couple of the teams for the over and underperform for the season. Let's start. We'll go with the top 4. How about that? Should we go with the top 4?
We can go top 4.
I'll start at 4th. Melbourne Victory. Erin, do you reckon they overperformed or underperformed?
I'd say they underperformed. They were going so well, and then just disappeared towards the end of the season. It's like they forgot what they were doing. Yeah,
they really did. They only had 1 win in their last 3, I'm pretty sure, and just didn't finish off the season strong enough to get back into that Grand Final.
Similarly with Western United as well.
Yep.
I think they had a couple of injuries, didn't they, with Hannah Keane? That was a big blow.
We talked about this, I think, when you were last on the show, Erin, about Western United were going really well, and then they just got hit with injuries. So overperformed, underperformed Western United.
I think it's a really hard one, but I'd say they underperformed. But I think it's mostly due to the injuries.
They were a bit unlucky, I think, with the amount of injuries.
They faced Sydney in last season's Grand Final.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yep. So they were very unlucky not to get back there again. Injuries. They still had a really good season though. So next one, Sydney, obviously making it into the Grand Final. We're not sure yet. Does it decide this to come down to if they win the Grand Final or not? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've definitely performed well. You can't deny that. So they're definitely in with a shot. It's going to be hard to pick.
Yep. All right, and then we'll go Melbourne City, overperformed, underperformed. They've gone really well as well, obviously, making it into the Grand Final. Does that come down to the Grand Final win, or have they done really well, no matter the result, really?
No, I'd say they've overperformed this season. I don't think people had tipped them to finish on top of the ladder or to make the Grand Final even. No. They've recruited really well and put those players to good use.
Yeah, good call. All right, we're just dying to get into this. The A-League Women's Grand Final, 4:15 at Amy Park in Melbourne on Saturday. Everyone's very excited. Melbourne City taking on Sydney FC, the two best teams. I'll quickly go through 0-0 in the last meeting, which was a little bit disappointing. We don't mind goals, but City won 3-2 in the meeting before that. So I'm hoping for a similar sort of result. I'll ask you first, Erin. Looking like City star Julia Grosso and Courtney Vine are matching up from Sydney FC. Of course, Courtney Vine we love on this show. I think she's got 16 goal contributions this season. They're going to be matching up on the wings. Obviously, you got Grosso in defence, Vine on the wing. Who wins this battle? And could this battle sort of decide the game, or is there any other key matchups do you think are going to decide this game?
I think this battle is definitely going to decide the game. Yep. And I think both players are itching to get at each other again. I spoke to Courtney Vine this morning and she said she loves it. So,
okay.
Yeah, she said, that's the fact that Julia is speedy as well. Like she can definitely challenge Courtney Vine and, makes her work hard for it.
One of the few players that can probably do that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think in a matchup, Vine wins. But I guess Grosso's got some pretty good backup and with the other defenders and likely with Barberi in the sticks too. So.
Yep. No, good call. Good call.
She saved a penalty, didn't she, in the previous meeting, the 0-0 meeting from Princess Sabini.
Saved the game pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it did. It was a masterclass, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I'll ask you, Marcus, as well. Who do you reckon is going to win this matchup? I know you don't mind a bit of Courtney Vine.
I'm going to go with Melbourne City on this one. Ooh. I think they're just in too good a form.
Yep.
And they've got so much experience in that team, like whether it's in between the sticks, in the middle as well. They've just gotten in all areas, and Sydney don't have the best of records in A-League Women's Grand Finals.
No, you're right. We'll get into that. Next question, I'll go to you first, Erin. Melbourne scored 9 more goals than Sydney this season and have scored 6 goals across those 2 finals, obviously dominated Newcastle. Can the number 1 defence, obviously Sydney, keep this low scoring? Because I think that's probably what they'd rather do. They'd probably rather a 1-0 win rather than this going into an all-out shootout because you've got so many good goal scorers at Melbourne City here in amazing form. Do you think? What do you think is the score going to be like, and can they keep this low scoring?
I definitely think it's going to be low scoring and super close, and I think Wyman's going to have a lot to do with that. Even if City tear through that defence, she's not going to let anything in that net easily. So City are going to have to bring their A game, that's for sure.
Yeah, no,
I think it's one of those games where neither team wants to go too far aggressively early in case they concede.
Yep.
So it could start out a little bit cagey, I think, but then hopefully the game opens up a little bit in the second half.
Yep. No, good call. Good call. All right. City have played in 4 grand finals and beat Sydney in 3 of them. So they've got a really strong record. But Sydney have been in the last 7 grand finals, very experienced, under the same coach as you mentioned, Erin. We'll get a score prediction winner and then who's going to be the goal scorers in this game. If there is any, goes to penalties or anything like that. I wouldn't mind seeing this go to penalties. I don't mind when it's pretty exciting or extra time or something like that. Everyone's heart's beating. So yeah, score prediction winner and who's going to score from you, please, Erin.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2-1 to City.
Okay.
I think Wilkinson's going to get the double.
Yes, all the double.
Yeah, and I'd really love to see Indiana Dos Santos score another one. So
yeah, she's been awesome, hasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
2-1, right. What do you reckon, Marcus?
Well, I reckon Daniela Galic might find the back of the net. Or even Amina Akic as well. Mm-hmm. They found the back of the net in the previous game against Sydney and scored against Newcastle in that away leg of the semi-finals. But yeah, as I said, I think City will win. I'll go 2-0.
2-0? Okay.
2-0 or I agree with Aaron, 2-1, something like that.
I'm going to go Sydney to win. I've changed my mind. Maybe just because I'm a victory supporter and I'm a bit annoyed about City making the grand final. But Hawkesby, she's been awesome form. I reckon she might get a goal. I reckon this will be 1-0. Sydney FC's defence will hold really strong. Courtney Vine assists. I just go and listen off all the players that I love from Sydney FC. So maybe I think they're going to win. I'm going to go 1-0, but I wouldn't be surprised if this goes into extra time and Sydney just get a late winner.
This could be a good game for Courtney Vine to stake her claim to get in that Matilda squad for the Olympics, because it's those big game sort of culture and atmosphere that you got to perform in. Mm-hmm. So I reckon this is going to be a huge game for her. Yeah, definitely.
I think I was going to ask you this, just a bit of an extra question, Erin, but you already sort of mentioned Wilkinson's going to score 2. Do you reckon she's going to get the player of the match if she does score those 2 goals, or any other players that you think are going to be standouts in this one?
Yeah, I definitely think Galic is going to be hard. Like, she's going to be involved in everything. So she's definitely a contender for player of the match. And I mean, if it goes to extra time and comes down to a shootout, it could be a keeper who gets the award as well. So I guess it's one of those ones you really just got to see what happens.
Yep. No, we'll have to
just a quick question off the cuff. Are you a fan of extra time, Erin, or do you think a game should go straight to penalties after the 90 minutes?
If I'm covering the story, then no, I'm not a fan of extra time.
You want to just get the story in, of course. Yeah.
It makes it so much harder to file the copy. But I think in terms of a grand final, extra time's warranted, but just to give those players that extra chance. And before, like, penalties is such a cruel way to end a game. So I'd rather see it finish in extra time than penalties.
Yep. Oh, fair call. All right. Next one for Erin. Do you want to read these ones out, Marcus?
Yeah,
we can probably clip this up in the socials, so check this out on the Football Today socials. Take it away. The team awards.
The Football Today A-League Women's Season Awards. Yep. And we're going to start with Erin. Who was your player of the season?
It's got to be Serena Bolden. Didn't even have to think about that one.
Awesome,
Just a standout. And the fact she didn't even have a team at the start of the season, like, you wouldn't even know she wasn't playing the first, I think it was 3 or 4 rounds. Phenomenal. I reckon she probably would have pipped Heyman for the Golden Boot if she'd played those first 4 rounds. So
yeah, big call. Love that. And a best young player of the season.
It's got to be Daniela Galic. You can't go past her. She's just exceptional. Couple of call-ins to the extended Matilda squad too, so she's definitely being noticed.
Hopefully she gets her chance.
I think she will. She's only, what is she, 17? I'm just looking up. I forgot how young she was. She's unbelievable,
Matilda's football is looking bright in the future. Yeah. And then lastly, who was your surprise standout or surprise player of the season?
Sian Fryer. She just sort of came out of nowhere for Brisbane Roar, and she really helped. I know they didn't have the greatest season, but she was really instrumental to what they were able to achieve, and well-deserved with her Matilda's call-up, and even got a cap to her name.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Brisbane would have been a lot worse off if they didn't have her, because they didn't go too well, really. So,
it's good to see form being rewarded in the local Australian league as well, in terms of the Matilda squad. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's really good to see.
Really good. All right. I think that's it. Always, thank you very much, Marcus.
Cheers, Stats Guy.
Check out Erin Smith on Code Sports and all over the socials, like Twitter at @_Erin_Smith. Thanks so much for coming on, Erin, as always.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me.
That's the final whistle for Football Today. We're out.
If you like this show, make sure you check out all the other shows on the Sports Today Network AFL Today Show to the Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast, as well as NBA Australia and NFL Australia. With Sports Today, your sporting needs have never been easier to cover.